Evening. There we go. What's that?
It always makes me jump, that is. It comes out really loud.
It's because I've got the microphone next to it. Um,
Right through my speakers, it's like your voice is lower than that.
that thing. Oh, and
One.
it's because the microphone. I've got a microphone just up here. Right, Brill. So, week two of the proper full weeks. Um, so just going through some of the wins. There have been a few sort of I think a bit more consistency. I could see all of the habit trackers. And one of the things that you will start to notice is on the app, there are two little notifications up at the top. One of them's a bell sign. I am starting to kind of, at my end, it tells us when you are ticking things off, and it gives me a bit of an alert if there are people who are missing sort of habits or not checking in after a couple of days. So you'll get a little nudge just to check in those habits. One of the things I will say, and I'll say it a couple of times as we go through this, is that there are loads of resources. So if you're stuck on anything with this whole kind of health fitness journey, you've got three coaches who will help you. And rather than just try and sort of do it alone, or if you're somebody who kind of suffers with like the all or nothing problem, or you feel like things are getting on top of you, ask for help and support. Coachability is something that is really important if you want to succeed in anything. I mean, most of us in our jobs, we've probably got like mentors or our bosses or line managers who are kind of keeping us on track. We can do that in terms of health, fitness, mindset around food. So reach out, use the stuff. On school, there's the support board. If you put that in there, I know all three of us go in and check every single day. If there's any questions on there, we will answer them. And you can actually kind of use the school classroom stuff as well. There's lots of stuff on there, and we're adding to it all the time. I know, Alice, you put something on Fibre up last week.
Yeah.
I put something up on like weekend mindset that went up either Sunday or Monday. I can't remember when I posted it now. But there are always going to be new things coming. So keep checking all those resources because there's lots and lots of stuff to help you. This is here to try and help people overcome all of the issues around kind of food, nutrition, getting into exercise, and building habits. So do use them. That being said, it's nice to see that for a good number of you, those habit sort of percentages are going up. So you are ticking them off. You don't need to be 100%. That's the key thing. If you're hitting sort of 70, 75% at this stage, you're doing really, really well. And then we gradually kind of nudge it up. And if you're struggling to hit that level, as we said last week, look at your targets, look at your goals. Have you set them too high? You know, if you said that I'm going to try and do 10,000 steps a day when you're starting at, say, three or four, lower that goal. Start smaller, build up. Have you set like this idea of I need to do three or four workouts a week? Lower that goal, bring it down. Try and make it as simple and as basic as possible. It could be instead of aiming for a protein target, you just say, I'm going to get protein in with every single meal. That's your first stage. And that will help nudge things up. Once you've got that foundation, you can then build. And that's the way to do it. That's what makes it sustainable and something that will last and the results will last. So, yeah, there are some good wins. Somebody said no alcohol. That's always a win. Um, Reduce snacking and increasing fiber, and that's coming up after last week, which is good. And staying consistent despite social events and visitors. That's a key one as well, which is good. So going through, we're going to start by just talking about consistency in weekends. In fact, which is so I've mentioned that there's a video up in Zoom. Alice is going to talk through some strategies for planning, prepping, and then navigating social situations. I have to say, Alice, this is something that we've spoken about many times before.
Yeah, definitely. Because it always comes up and it's like we touched on last week. There's always going to be social occasions. Like they are just a part of life. And what we're trying to build here is giving you the tools to be able to still enjoy those while still working towards your goals because life doesn't ever stand still for you to do what it is that you want to do, unfortunately. They will always be a part of it. And being able to plan ahead is absolutely key when it comes to succeeding in those, because if you just try and wing it, that's when it becomes more difficult. Like if you're not thinking ahead, tracking or planning in workouts, steps, all of those things around it, you will then find very quickly it's really hard to get that momentum back. So just a little bit of planning. Like, you don't, as Will said, we don't need to be planning absolutely everything. Just start somewhere. Whether that's right, I know I'm out for dinner tonight, or what can we have in the day to make that more manageable. Is that a slightly lighter breakfast? Is it making sure that you get your protein in with your breakfast and lunches? Is it making sure that you've planned and prepped your meals for the next day, keeping hydrated? All of those things you can still manage because they're within your control. But yeah, weekends are always going to happen. Social occasions are going to happen. The other thing that I know can be really difficult is like FOMO. My sister's the worst for it. She feels like she's missing out on a good occasion. She hates it if she's not there. But you don't have to go to every single one. Like if you've got, say, a group of friends and you're down the pub like every Friday, every Saturday night, you don't need to be there for every single weekend if it's not aligning with your goals at the moment. Obviously, weddings, christenings, anything like that, obviously they're a little bit different, so it's important to be there. Or birthdays, depends who it is, but all of those things are good to be there for. But if it's just a weekly down the pub, lots of drinks, then maybe you need to have a think about where your goals are and what plans are actually aligning with those. But yeah, I think, just as we said last week, just keep thinking about planning ahead and prepping those few meals, even if it's just one day ahead, or doing the extra portion for dinner to have for lunch the next day. Start small and build up from there, and you will definitely find it'll make things easier. But yeah, you've got to make your weekends work for you, I think, is the main thing, isn't it? Like you can't just expect things to fall into place if you're not planning for them. Like for me, my weekends, I treat them the same as my weekdays in terms of what I'm eating. If I'm training, like all of those things, I keep them the same as the rest of the week. I don't treat them as anything special. And I think if you take that power away, it's easier to manage them, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I'd also add to that one as well with the weekends. It's if you're somebody who's always got busy weekends, you sort of say pick and choose. And I think if even with like the events, if you've got, because I've got a client at the moment who seems to be going to weddings every other weekend,
Yeah, we had that
and
last year.
yeah, and I've sort of said to him, it's like, are they all as important as each other? And he looked at me and went, honestly, no. I'm going, but they're not all. He says I've got one of them. He was the best man, so obviously he says I'm going to enjoy that one. I was like, right, great. But then there were a couple. It's like family weddings and sort of uni mates. So I said the way to do it, because he had a specific goal that he wanted, a weight loss goal that he wanted to achieve. I said the way to do it with that is pick and choose the ones that you are going to enjoy. Almost like not rank them, but kind of sort of say, right, I am going this one. I'm actually going to let my hair down a little bit. And the rule he came up with was, if we're staying over, I am going to enjoy myself a bit more, but then was still mindful with the amount of alcohol and the amount of food that he was having. And then the ones that he was driving and coming home from, he said, well, I'm there, I'm present, I'm still going to have a good time, but I can watch, the alcohol intake, because obviously I'm driving. And he did that. He said, rather than get a taxi, I'm going to drive, because that'll save me 40, 50 quid. And it also saved me money on alcohol as well. So it is kind of picking and choosing, and we can apply that strategy to weekends. If you are somebody who thinks you've got to go out every time you go out at a weekend, you've got to go all in and enjoy yourself, your lifestyle is not aligning with your goals. And that's something that you have to look at long term, because even if you sort of bring it under control short term for the goals, if you're then going straight back to that lifestyle, you're going to return back to where you were before. So it is something that you've kind of got to look at, and that's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. It is really difficult, and it's a change in habits, and that's kind of what we're looking at. And there are things you can do. We've said before, like, alternating alcoholic. If you're going out and having a drink, alternate alcoholic drinks with soft drinks or water, or even try some of the non-alcoholic options. I still wish they'd make a decent non-alcoholic red wine. There's none out there.
Ribena.
Ribena.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
No, no.
But yeah, you know, it's things like that. And then the other things you're saying with the meal planning, it's spot on. If you can't do a week, just do
Do
the
a
next
day,
day.
do a couple of days, yeah. And get some good Tupperware. That is another top tip. Get the
Yeah.
ones that don't leak. They will go missing. We had a ton of Tupperware in this house, and I can't find any of them at the moment. So they're probably in Liverpool in the back of my other half's car, let's be honest, but they will be around. But yeah, keep yourself well stocked up, because then you've always got them. And it's just so easy to like portion things out. But yeah, like when you say weekends and going out and drinking, like we don't drink at all anymore, and that's our choice. But like I say, a couple of the wins in the group of saying, like, you know, not drinking, like that's, you know, even if you just say, right, I'm not going to drink this week, you know, like this weekend, I'm going to go out, but I'm just going to have soft drinks. Like, you'll realize, like, actually, it doesn't need to revolve around the alcohol all the
Yeah.
time, and you'll find other ways to still be able to enjoy it, without that having to be a part of it. And even if you just go, right, I'm going to go, but I'm going to have soft drinks tonight, I'm not going to, you know, drink, I'll just stick like diet soft drinks instead. And like you say, similar to, right, I'll go, but I'm going to drive. And it's just ways like that that will slowly change those habits that you've got currently to then improve your lifestyle overall moving forwards.
And it's the impact of alcohol as well. The impact is massive.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just what it does on the night. It then affects your sleep. It will affect. And the thing you said, you know, if you are going out, plan the meals for the next day, because if you've gone out for a few drinks, the last thing you're going to want to do is think about
What
prepping
you do.
and cooking meal. So if you've got something quick and easy in the morning, great, you know, and do that. But there are loads of things. There's obviously you've got the meal, you've got the recipe library, you've got the meal planner, you've got there's loads and loads of tools there. And if you look at the hub, there's a meal scanner as well now, so that if you are going out, you can take a photo of the meal, upload it, or give you an idea of calories. You've also got you can upload your own recipe, so there are loads of tools there to help you organize your food and take that decision fatigue away from you. So do use them. And like I say, we're going to keep adding more and more stuff into the classroom to help. So yeah, have a look at that. All right, me next on emotional eating. So this is a question that comes up quite a lot. It's like, what are tips for managing cravings and emotional eating? And it also ties into the weekend, because one of the things that I know I've spoken to a few in-person clients about, but also kind of comes up on the check-ins here, is this idea of you work really hard in the week, and then at the weekend you kind of deserve a treat in inverted commas. Um, I don't like the word treat, because that kind of it has negative connotations, but also if you're that kind of happens because you're being so restrictive in the week. If you're really restrictive in the week, or you're overtired, you get to the weekend and you kind of relax and everything comes off. You've got to try and, as Alice says, look at your weekends being the same as your week, and consistency is key. You know, you can be super strict in the week and then allow some sort of a bit of flexibility at the weekend. That backfires, because if you're too strict, you get to the weekend and you go all in, and once you've started, the guilt sort of hits, and then you kind of think, sod it, I'm just going to keep going. So try and moderate your weekends and not be as restrictive in the week. That's one way of looking at it. But also, food doesn't need to be the only reward. If you think, actually, I've worked really hard and I need to unwind and relax, reward yourself in other ways. It could be that you know have a sort of say it to everybody in the house, right, leave me alone for an hour, I'm going to go and lie in the bath and put some music on and just sit and relax and have an hour to myself. Or just go to a coffee shop and sit and relax there, or go for a walk. Whatever it is that you enjoy, use that as your reward at the weekends. It doesn't have to be food and drink. Okay, look for other ways of kind of getting that dopamine hit. And then with regards to dopamine, that snacking in the evening is dopamine seeking attention. In the mindset part of the school bit, I talk about the HALT method and pause and reflect. And those are two things that when you get to the evening, if you're feeling hungry or peckish in front of the television, I want you to think about, you know, stopping and just think what it is that's making you reach for that food. Are you hungry? Is it real hunger? Is it an emotion? Are you kind of, is it an emotion you're responding to? Is it boredom? Is it tiredness? So it's thinking of those four things. What is the reason behind it? That awareness alone sometimes is enough just to stop you from doing it, because you're going, actually, I'm not hungry. It's an emotion. I'm either feeling down or angry or upset. It's the fact that I'm tired. Tiredness will impact on it. It might be that you're boredom eating, and it's a habit effectively. So once you've kind of identified that, that's quite often enough to stop you from doing it. So just being that awareness. You're saying don't say you can't have it as well, because that restriction then means that you crave it, and then eventually you'll kind of give into the craving. So just sort of say, right, I'm going to pause for a sec. I'm going to give it 10-15 minutes. I'm not going to have it now. I'm going to wait 10 to 15 minutes and then see if I want it then. So pause, reflect. If you are hungry, or if you think, I might have it, just wait 10 to 15 minutes, because those cravings pass. So just leave it a bit, wait, and then distract yourself. Go and do something. Don't just sit there staring at the fridge going, right, 9 minutes to go. That's not the game. It's kind of, right, I'm going to give it 10-15 minutes. Go and do something. Could be anything. It could be washing the dishes up after dinner. It could be folding the washing. It could be, going and getting ready for bed. Something that is just going to get you away from the fridge and distract you. All right. And then the other side of things as well is, if it's the fact that you've got those foods in the house, get rid of them. And again, you're not saying you can't have them, just don't keep them around in any large quantities, because if they're there, you're going to be tempted. So those are just a few sort of simple strategies. I mean, the first one is stop, pause, reflect, give yourself a bit of time. And then the second one is put barriers in place. So, maybe, like I say, don't keep it in the house. Or if you do have it in the house, have a small amount of it. Don't go and buy like a 24 pack of crisps. Just have 1 or 2 packets in. If you want a multi-pack, get 6 rather than 24. Chocolate bars, I get the individually wrapped little ones that you can buy in Aldi or Lidl, just like the 25-gram bars, and I'll have one of those. If I get like a 200 kilos.
That's a lot.
Imagine the size of that. That's a lot of chocolate. If I get a 200-gram bar of Galaxy, I'm going to smash at least half of that in one go. I am getting better at breaking a row off, but I do tend to go back and then help myself to 5 more. So yeah, I just have individually wrapped ones, because if it's not unwrapped, I'm okay at kind of going, no, I'll wait for that tomorrow. And then other alternatives. In the evening, protein chocolate mug cake. It's in the recipe library. That is an absolute winner. Takes 2 minutes to make, and you've probably got everything in. The only thing you might not have in is some protein powder, but it's cocoa powder, protein powder, flour, yogurt, milk, and then a bit of baking powder. Mix it up in a bowl or a mug, microwave for 75 seconds, and you're done. And then a little bit of sort of yogurt on top or cream on top, and it's really good. I'm quite impressed with that recipe. And that satisfies the chocolate need. And you can even put a little square of chocolate in the middle, and you've got a chocolate lava cake. So something like that, or grating chocolate over yogurt, that's enough. Just something as a little treat. And I've got another one as well. I've just made these like little. Sounds weird. They're made out of chickpeas, but you don't taste the chickpea, and it's like a little. Not quite a blondie, but it's a little cake cookie bar thing with chocolate buttons on the top, and a square of that. It's about 150 calories. It's got some protein, and it's got loads of fiber, and it's just enough to take the edge off the sweet sort of cravings. So there are some. Have a look in the recipe library. There are some sweet treats and things in there as well, because I have a sweet tooth, and I am a demon for eating that sort of stuff, and it's something I've had to overcome. So I don't keep massive amounts of chocolate in. Easter's a nightmare for me. I'm lucky that my boys live with their mums most of the time, so I send them home with the chocolate, and the mums can deal with having to not eat it. So it's not my problem. But yeah, it's I have to not sort of have all that stuff in, and then I look for lower calorie options as well. So that's, but have a look in the classroom for those. There is some stuff in there to help you. All right.
Can I just touch back on the weekend bit?
Yeah.
Because when I was doing my fat loss sort of diet, because my husband works opposite shifts to me, basically, we didn't really spend much time. So Saturday nights would be sort of our time together. So we'd always, watch a DVD or whatever. So I'd always start planning my meal by what I wanted in the evening and then work back. So I knew what I wanted, if it was going to be some crisps or some popcorn. I did swap out the alcohol. I had Prosecco, which if you tell yourself it's not actually Prosecco, it doesn't taste that bad and it's actually quite nice. So I plan them in, put them in my fitness pal and then my tea, and then work out what calories I got to play with in the day. So I wasn't being restrictive. I was just trying to plan ahead so that I didn't think, well, I'll have this in the day, and then actually I've got no calories left for what we want to do in the evening. And that wasn't every weekend, but it was the week I did that on the weekends that we knew were going to be, watching a film or having a
It's a
treat.
really good strategy.
Yeah.
You can expand that one out even more. You can actually, if you're tracking your calories across a week, you can actually sort of say, right, rather than saying I've got a daily calorie goal, I have a weekly calorie goal. So if you know that, say, for ease of numbers, just to make it easy, your calorie goal is 2,000 calories a day, you can then say, well, that's 14,000 calories across 7 days. If you start tracking on a Saturday for the week, you can go, right, I'm going to start for the weekend. And it teaches you very quickly about balance, because you can say, right, okay, so over the weekend, I've smashed 6,000 calories. I've had 3,000 calories on a Friday, Saturday, and then 3,000, across the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I've had 3,000 calories. That means I've got, 6,000 calories. That means I've got 8,000 calories left for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday daytime. So, and you go, oh, hang on a minute, that's only 1,600 calories. That's quite restrictive. Whereas actually, if I go, oh, I'll have 2,500 calories on Saturday and Sunday, that means I've got 9,000 calories across, which is only 1,800 calories. So it's a smaller deduction. So if you start tracking on a Saturday and a Sunday, sort of do your work and see what you've got left, it teaches you very quickly about just moderating it a bit. You can still have that flexibility. You can still have a few more calories, but instead of sort of going out and, Saturday night, right, we're having a meal out, I'm having a bottle of Prosecco, a kebab on the way home, and then Sunday morning I wake up feeling grotty, so I go to Mackey's for a Mackey's breakfast, and then we have a Sunday lunch, and it's like all of a sudden you've had 8,000 calories across the weekend. It's like I've only got 6,000 to last 5 days. It teaches you a little bit about, I need to moderate a little bit. So yeah, it's the same sort of thing. Like, look at what you want and then go from there. But it does work, and it does help you, because I guess with yours, Lisa, on a Saturday night, if it was like, right, we're going to have this, and I've only got 200 calories for the rest of the day, it makes you think, I need to just maybe tone down what I do in the evening.
Yeah.
So, no, good tip, really good tip. All right, motivation and overwhelm. This is a key one.
So this is something that I have definitely suffered with. So one of the questions was early morning starts. Will no, tell you that I am not a morning person, but I know that sometimes going to the gym after work is the gym's packed basically, and that will sometimes overwhelm me because I think I'm going to go in, I'm not going to be able to get on equipment, I'm not going to be able to do my exercises properly. It's not going to be worth it. So sometimes I talk myself out of it. So I started planning in going in the morning instead, which for somebody that doesn't like mornings can be difficult. But what I'll do is obviously I'll set an alarm earlier than I need to get up, so that if I do think, "Oh, I'll just snooze it," and then it'll wake me up at the right time. I'll ask somebody to text me. So by them texting me, I've almost got to go because they've taken the effort to message me in the morning, and I don't want not to go. So that will help me. Sometimes on the days that I am going to the gym after work and I'm spending all day thinking, "Oh, I really don't want to go to the gym today. I don't feel like it. One, I ask myself why, because I might not feel like it now, but I don't know what I'm going to feel like after work. After work, I might have had a better day. I might actually feel like I've got more energy. So I'll take my gym stuff to work and I'll make sure that I get changed at work. So at that point, I've taken the decision of going straight home out of the equation. It's almost like I'm now ready. And people at work know that I'm going to the gym. So I don't want to be telling them in the morning, I didn't go.
Yeah.
So those are my kind of workarounds. If it's a case of you're overwhelmed by the actual exercises, are they too difficult for you? You don't know what you're doing. Make sure you're asking on the group because we can offer alternatives or talk you through it. I mean, there's some videos on how to actually perform the exercises. If you don't know where to start, whether it's should I do this one or this one, again, ask the question. But if you're, like I said before, if you're saying I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, and that's overwhelming because you're thinking, well, actually, I haven't even done one yet. I've still got 3, and then you think, oh crap, well, I'll do it again next week instead. Just do one workout because once you start doing a workout, it'll start feeling easier. And if it's a case of, you're nervous about going to the gym, once you've been a few times, you'll realize that actually no one's looking at you. Or if they are looking at you, they're probably thinking, what a badass bitch. She's picking those weights up. She's doing something. So try and get over those sort of hurdles. I'm just thinking of what the other questions were. Yeah, so just basically just keep it manageable and build up to it. When I first started training with Will, before that I was working out 5, 6, 7 days a week, and then I stopped training for quite a while because I just didn't know what I was doing. But training with Will, I only started on I think it was 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So that for me was reined right back from my usual sort of 5 times a week. So once I'd felt confident and comfortable doing those, I then went to 4 times a week, which isn't always, like I say, isn't always manageable, but I have workarounds. If I can't go on that day, I'll go in the morning, or instead of going on the Friday, I'll go on the Saturday or the Sunday. And actually, I quite like it on the weekend because one, the gym's less busy, and secondly, you see different people because then you just, there's only so many times you can listen to the same grunters. There's a guy that goes in the gym. It seems like he's in there every single time I go. And I just think you're not even doing anything to warrant that noise. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I've heard some noises. Some of them are
mine are all
noises
internalized.
Yeah, and some of the noises I've heard are noises you don't want to be hearing in a gym. They belong in another location, some of those noises. Yeah. I think Laura is a client of mine who me, Alice, and Lisa know. And I think Laura is a prime example of breaking things down to the smallest possible level, and actually seeing huge amounts of change from that.
Yeah.
I coached Laura. She's an online client, and I coached her for about 18 months before I managed to even get her in the gym. And we were focusing on just doing movement, general movement. And it was like going for walks, which she was doing. She started smashing the steps, and it was workouts at home. And she got a few bits of kit that she could do at home. And then when she got bored of that, she's like, I'm going to have to go to the gym, aren't I? And I'm like, yeah. But, she's like, well, I can't go 3 times. Well, just go once. Just go once. And we did that for a few months. And then it was 1 January, she sort of said, right, I'm setting myself a goal that I am going to do 2 workouts a week at the gym consistently for a year. And she said, I'm going to set myself this goal of trying to get as close to 100 workouts across the year as I possibly can. I think she got to 99. But that thing across the year, I mean, Laura's lost now in total with that consistency started to build other things. So she was then more consistent around nutrition. She was then more consistent around steps, hydration. And she ended up losing around 45 kilos in total, not pounds, kilos.
Done incredibly well.
Yeah, she's a completely different person. But it was just starting from, and this is why my big thing is break it down to the simplest thing, absolute simplest thing. She lost that weight in around, I think it was about 2 years. So it's like 3 stones a year over 2 years, which is incredible. but it was just breaking it down to the simplest possible thing. And we just put some really simple rules. So it was like 1 or 2 workouts. First of all, it was steps. Then it was doing some home workouts. Then it was going to the gym once a week for a little bit, and then twice a week. And around the food, we just put some simple guardrails in place. For Laura, what worked for her was what we call time restricted eating, what most people know as intermittent fasting. It's not magic. It just meant that she started her meal times later on in the day at about 11 o'clock, and she had an eating window that lasted 8 hours, so she finished at 7. And it just was a guardrail for her to say, I don't eat past 7 o'clock. But that was flexible in that if she was going out and she needed to be able to eat a bit later, we sort of said, right, your window's going to start later. But we planned ahead. And that was the key thing. We kind of looked at her week where she said, right, I am going to, and you know, some weekends it was like, well, I've got a breakfast here and I'm going to eat there later. And it's like, okay, it's not a hard and fast rule, it's a guardrail. So that day, it doesn't matter. It's one day out of however many. So it's just start small. And that's the key thing. And with any overwhelm, just break it right. What is the smallest thing you can do? And start there. And that goes for exercise, it goes for your food, it goes for anything. What's the smallest bit that you can do? And start there. And it could be as simple as doing 20 squats while you're waiting for the kettle to boil, or marching on the spot. I even caught Rosie walking on the spot while she was brushing her teeth the other day.
I'm sure she didn't agree.
No, she was definitely deliberately walking on the spot. I didn't say anything. I just kind of nodded and acknowledged it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. It's just start small. And I think that's the key thing. And this is why the habits are designed, you know, tick them off, sort of build a streak. That habit tracker tells you how many days you've been ticking things off for. And then if you do fall, you know, if you do miss one day, then look at what your streak was. Right, can I beat it next time? So if you do 5 days on the trot and you have a day where you don't quite meet it, that's fine. Can you do 6 days next time? And as you start building that and you get the momentum going, I give you context. I play a game on my phone called Wordle. I've currently got a 200 and I'm obsessed with it now. I mean, I'm not so fussed about the game, but I've got a 260 something day streak. I can't remember what it was. It's about 263-day streak where I've done it for 200, and I keep doing it.
You think that's sad? I have an indoor bike trainer, and the app that I use, you can turn on fun mode. And as you get a streak, you grow a squirrel in your back pocket. And I got an email a couple of weeks ago to say, nearly there, 1 more week, and your little squirrel's going to turn into a keychain. I was like, well, I can't miss now. And if you miss a week, if you don't cycle in a week, I lose my squirrel.
Oh, we don't lose that squirrel.
Oh, I don't now. That is it. Every
Right.
week it gets to a Sunday. I'm like, oh no, I've not been on the bike inside. I'm like, I need to get on the bike.
Yeah.
Can't lose my squirrel.
And I think it's that's a key thing, is just find a streak and then
Find whatever it is.
Yeah. And beat it. I mean, you can even mark it off on your calendar, like, and then again, you can kind of say, right, if I manage to do a full week of these, give yourself a non-food related reward.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said to Laura, like, treat yourself to some new gym leggings. Go and buy a decent pair that you like, that make you feel good. Go and buy an item of clothing that you've always wanted and make yourself feel good. It could be something like that. Just get the streak going and give yourself a reward. This is all in psychology, and I've got a few things that I'm going to put up in the mindset stuff that is based off a lot of the work that's done around habits. James Clear in Atomic Habits talks about it a lot, but there are a few other popular books out there that share the same sort of thing. So I'm going to put some strategies up there as well, and you'll see why we've got the habit tracker and why we use some of these things, because it does work. But yeah, no. All right.
Well, I sometimes will play mind games with myself. So if I think I haven't really got much energy to do a workout today, I'll say I'll do less sets or reps, or I'll just shorten it a little bit.
Yeah.
But by the time I've got to the gym, I found myself that I'm doing exactly the workout that's prescribed, and I've forgotten the deal I made with myself. And I've actually enjoyed it. I don't think I've ever been to the gym where I felt like not going and didn't enjoy it, or felt better about myself afterwards, because
Yeah.
I just know that if I put it off and I've got to the end of the week and I haven't done the 4 workouts or whatever that I've got planned, because I know I've been consistent before, it makes me feel a bit bleh. And I don't want to go back to the bleh feeling. I want to be, feeling good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I only do 3, so be it. It's if I've not half-arsed those 3 and I've had a decent one, and sometimes you might just half-arse it, but again, that's still good because you've done 3 or 2, which is 2 more than none.
Yeah.
So
Or even 1, and that's 1 more than none.
Yeah.
And I think with that, there's a few other things as well. It's kind of, I do the same thing. And I regularly don't feel like going to the gym, but I just go, right, okay, I'm just going to do. There's always an exercise in the workout that I enjoy, so I'm just going to do that. I'll just do that exercise. I'll do 5 or 6, and by the time I've done that, 99% of the time, I'll carry on and I'll do some more. The 1% where I don't do anymore and I just do that exercise, I've done something. So it doesn't really matter. And I think the other thing as well is have a fallback. So if if it's like, right, I'm not going to the gym, because have something that you will do that's almost automatic. So I don't feel like going to the gym, or I don't feel like doing a workout, but I will go for a walk around the block. So, and it's something as small as that, it's still worth it because it maintains that habit, it keeps it going. So yeah, I think that's a really good strategy. Have I missed anything? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think so.
Tash, do you have any questions on anything we've covered there? That's my stomach.
You ain't got enough time. No, I'm still just trying to get my head around everything. I'm just I like today. I literally actually said to a friend today, because they were like, how's it going? Because I told them I'd signed up to it, and I was like, oh, do you know what? I need to just, every night I keep forgetting to do the little tick habit tracker thing on the tick thing, but it's because it's not an app, and I have to log in, and it's on my iPad, so I need to bookmark it on my phone.
Yeah.
And then do that. But I think because my day is so planned that when I come home in the evening, I kind of go, ugh, and then find it really hard to apply myself, which is one of the things I said to Lisa. Like, it's like I'll track things for like about 3 or 4 days, and then I get bored, and then I move away from it, and then next thing you're just not doing it. So, which I really want to break that habit.
Yeah.
Hence why I'd like to try this to see if I can build them habits. So, but yeah, but I was aware of it today. It sort of came to me today. I was like, right, that's what the first thing I need to start doing is to try and get into that habit.
What you can do with that is automate it as well. So on your phone, set yourself a reminder. So in your diary, like a daily calendar reminder that's got a notification that crops up at, say, it could be 7:30, 8 o'clock every night, where you go, right, bing, log into and bookmark it. So you tap on it and it opens it up, and the first thing that comes up is that habit tracker, and that will go through it. And because it is just simply thinking about, right, what habits have I achieved today? And if you can tick them off, great. If you can't tick them off, that then prompts you to think, right, I need to do that tomorrow. I need to focus on that tomorrow. But yeah, it's almost automating it. So checking it becomes a habit in itself, but make it easier for yourself and put a reminder on. We carry these things around with us all the time. And we've got watches on that will ping and remind us. Put it in your diary and just say, right, 8 o'clock, I'm checking that. I do the same because I use this. I use the app as well to track the habits, and I'm tracking like all sorts of different metrics. But I've got a little reminder on my phone that goes off it because I forget. ADHD brain. So it's you forget stuff. You do. So I put systems in place that help me do that. I'm perfectly aware that I get massive, and Lisa's the same. We get massive overwhelm when loads of stuff coming at us, loads of information, big overwhelm. So simplify it by putting a reminder in your phone. If I don't do that, I forget it. And I write everything down on that phone in my diary. If somebody tells me something, right, let me just put it in my diary, and then there's a reminder that crops up.
Yeah.
Just by doing that, you'll find that you start doing it more, and then it becomes more of a habit. I used to have to put a reminder on my phone at 5 o'clock in the morning to take my supplements, and now
Yeah.
it's a second nature.
I have that for my medication
Yeah,
because I've gone from having to take it in the
Same.
morning 3 times a day. So now I have a reminder, and it's almost like my body's now is aware of what time it is before my alarm goes off. So is it something like it takes 21 times to form a habit or something?
it's anyone. It's different for different people, but anywhere between 3 weeks to 3 months to form a habit. But I mean, I set one of the things, and I'll put a little lesson on this up as well. It's about setting up your environment. So the last thing I do before I go to bed is that I put a glass out with my vitamins and minerals and things like, my omega-3s, my vitamin D, and my creatine. I set it up next to the kettle. So the first thing I see when I walk into the kitchen is, oh, there's my glass of water. I need to take my supplements while the kettle's boiling. And it's there to remind me. I put all my food, if I'm at the gym all day, I'll put all my food in the bottom of the fridge. So the first thing I see is that's what I'm taking for food. I get my food bag and put it on the side as well. So because otherwise I would literally walk out of the house without the food, and I would starve all day. So I set up the night before, like to the point where I put my clothes out. I would literally walk out there. Lisa would have a shock tomorrow if I turned up to the gym without any joggers on.
Please don't.
But it's
Yeah,
that
see,
sort
I
of level.
have all that. I have all that as well. Yeah, there are habit builders, but because I guess that's because it's my everyday life. I don't think of it. By the way, and you can see how my environment is. So that's
Yeah.
also a difficult thing as well. So, but I've definitely slackened less. So
Yeah.
I know that that's subconsciously gone in. Whatever I've watched has sort of helped with things like that. So, little changes. But yeah, I'll do that. I'm going to do a reminder. That's what I'm going to
Yeah. Good.
do when I come off here.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
But
Any other questions?
before, obviously the gym that you used to go to, Tash, because I remember you posting videos on there.
Yeah, I'm still grieving.
You were obviously doing that regularly without even thinking about it. It was part of your day. It wasn't something that was, oh, I've got to go and do that. It was a matter of course, like going to work, going to the supermarket. It was part of your routine, and once it's getting the habits in there, it's gonna feel exactly the same.
Yeah,
Because you know you can do it. You've definitely had that. I don't know what the word is. Menopause, ADHD brains removed.
yeah.
Words out of my brain today, but you've been consistent before, and you'll definitely get it back with Tiredness.
Well, I see even just now with Will going, yeah, I have my supplements there and I have my thing, and I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, my supplements are on top of my microwave, and that's the first thing I'll have when I then have my water, and my stuff is as well in the fridge, so I can grab it. So it is just them little habits. So it is just now building new habits.
Yeah, and it's stuff that there's something called habit stacking, and that's where you pair a habit that you want to build with something that you do already. And it could be, it could be something that you do in the evening that you just start pairing with that, and it becomes a prompt. So it could be whatever that it could be that, like, just before you brush your teeth, you check your habit. Have I done this? Or it could be that when you've put your food in the fridge, I'm going to check my habits. So there's something you already do, you put something that you want to do with, and that's how I started the stuff in the morning. So it's like I can't have my morning coffee until I've had my creatine, my vitamin D, and my omega-3s. So it was pairing those together, and that's something that it starts to it then almost becomes automatic, and then you can sort of start looking at other things. But that habit stacking, sort your environment out, set it up, but then stack things that you want to do with stuff that you already do. It starts to prompt you a little bit more, and it's all these little tricks that will help. But trying to make it, you're not going to remember if you just think, right, I'm going to remember it and rely on sheer brain power and willpower. It just doesn't work, and that's, nobody can do that. If they can, they're a freak. But you know, we need like reminders. This is why these things are godsends now. I would not know what I would do if I lost my phone. It'd be like losing my right arm.
Yeah.
They are, and use them as a tool. They are useful. I mean, they're the bane of your life sometimes, but they are useful as well. So use them to help you remember.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Thanks.
Tash.
Good question. Right. It's now nearly 20 past 8. I think it's time to go and chill out in front of television. Brilliant. So,
brilliant.
Fab. Right. I will let everybody go. We're going to end it there. Let me find, and this is where I struggle to find the record button now.
We'll just freeze, pretend it stopped.
There we go.